The old notes of downfall, discord, despair no longer resonate.
They can control Jay-Z and Beyonce.
But not you, man.
But they can't control me. You see, it ain't no name I won't name.
I threw myself into a volcano. I drank the blood and drank the wine. I sat alone and begged and bent at the waist for God. I crossed myself and thought I saw the devil.
After Jay-Z's name surfaced in yet another batch of Epstein paperwork, the spotlight didn't just hover over him. It started drifting somewhere people once thought was off limits. Toward Beyoncé. For years, she existed behind an invisible shield. Untouchable. Unquestionable. Say one critical word about the self-crowned queen, and you were instantly labeled bitter, obsessed, or jealous. The backlash was swift and brutal. And it wasn't only fans doing the policing. Industry insiders learned fast what crossing her circle could cost them. Blue Cantrell, Carrie Hilson, Farrah Franklin. Careers that cooled overnight. Coincidence or warning shots? If you line the names up, the pattern starts to look less random and more strategic. Then Kanye, once close to the Carters, once trusted, stepped forward and lit a match. He didn't just whisper rumors. He detonated them. Stories about behind-the-scenes blacklists, quiet sabotage, and power moves that felt less like business and more like warfare. And some of the claims? Dark enough to make even hardened insiders uncomfortable. Now the narrative being pushed is softer, safer, that Beyoncé is just another victim, that Jay-Z molded her, controlled her, pulled the strings before she knew how the game was played. Maybe there's truth in that. Maybe. But here's what doesn't add up. Time. She's had years to leave. Every red flag, every scandal, every headline was an exit door. Yet she never walked through it. She stayed after he publicly confessed to cheating. Stayed when he was accused of quietly undermining Colin Kaepernick's movement. Stayed when photos surfaced of him laughing alongside Harvey Weinstein. Stayed through the Diddy lawsuit chaos. And now, with his name circling the Epstein files, she's still right there, unmoved, unbothered, unwavering. So when do we stop pretending she's powerless? This isn't a naive newcomer anymore. She's in her mid-40s, a veteran of the most exclusive... Alright, let's slow this down and really look at what just happened, because this is where the story starts to feel less like celebrity gossip and more like something out of a political thriller. Jay-Z's name didn't just quietly resurface, it landed in yet another batch of Epstein-related documents, dragging him back into a scandal most people hoped was finished. You've probably already heard about the first reference, that anonymous tip sent to the FBI, the woman claiming she woke up inside Epstein's mansion and allegedly saw Jay-Z and Harvey Weinstein in the same room. No photos, no charges, just a statement. But even an allegation like that is enough to make the air feel heavy. Still, that wasn't the only thing that leaked. Something else slipped out, and it might be even more disturbing. An email. Not from a celebrity. Not from a blogger. From Jess Staley, a powerful banker and former Barclays CEO, writing directly to Epstein himself. And the tone? Cold. Clinical. Like they weren't talking about people, but assets. Inly. Staley basically tells Epstein not to worry about the public rising up against financial elites. According to him, capitalism and pop culture had already solved that problem. People, he said, don't fight anymore. They shop. They stream. They scroll. They're distracted. Then he drops a line that stops you in your tracks. He points to Super Bowl ads, flashy cars, curated cool, celebrity glamour, and suggests the very communities that once protested in the streets have been pacified by fame, money, and entertainment. And he specifically name-drops Jay-Z as an example of that influence. Let that sink in for a second. A banker casually telling Epstein that celebrities can keep the public calm. That all you have to do is put stars on a stage, Jay-Z, Beyoncé, Taylor Swift, Kendrick, LeBron, and suddenly nobody's talking about inequality anymore. Nobody's marching. Nobody's demanding change. They're just watching. And when you read between the lines, it sounds less like praise and more like a strategy. Like celebrities aren't leaders, they're tools. A distraction machine. Keep the music loud, keep the lights flashing, and nobody notices what's happening behind the curtain. Which is exactly...
But every time they say I'm crazy, it's just when I'm saying the truth. So what's the crazy part, really? What's the crazy part, really? They can control LeBron James. They can control Jay-Z and Beyonce.
But not you, man.
But they can't control me.
But here's where the story takes a hard left, because the whispers around Beyoncé don't stop at greedy billionaire or fake activist. If that was all this was, it wouldn't feel so unsettling. Plenty of celebrities sell empowerment while cashing corporate checks. That's normal. Predictable. Almost boring. No. The rumors people hesitate to repeat? They're darker than that. They drift into territory most outlets won't even touch. Because the second you suggest there's something deeper, something sinister, the punishment is immediate. You're not debated. You're not challenged. You're erased. Blacklisted. Labeled unstable. Turned into a cautionary tale. And if you think that sounds dramatic, just look at what happened to Larry Johnson, former NFL star, and at one point, someone who actually moved in Jay-Z's circle. This wasn't some random vlogger chasing clout. This was an athlete with money, connections, and credibility. Someone who had been inside the rooms most people only hear rumors about. And he wasn't scared to talk. He started hinting that the entertainment industry wasn't just corrupt, it was controlled. Ritualistic. Manipulative. Bigger than contracts and politics. He said there were forces operating behind the scenes that regular people couldn't even imagine. At first, people laughed it off. Then he mentioned Beyoncé. And everything changed. The moment her name came out of his mouth, even loosely, even cautiously, it was like a switch flipped. Invites stopped coming, interviews dried up, media turned cold overnight. It wasn't a debate. It was a shutdown. Like he'd broken an unspoken rule. Like he'd stepped on a landmine. One minute he was a respected former player with a voice. The next he was painted as crazy, unstable, conspiracy-obsessed. The same script they always use when someone gets a little too close to something uncomfortable. And just like that, his credibility was stripped away. Career? Nosedive. Platform? Gone. Conversation? Silenced. Almost like he needed to disappear. Which makes you wonder, what exactly did he say that scared people so much? Because according to him, this wasn't about business deals or industry politics. He described being invited to a private party, not the red carpet kind, not the Instagram kind. The kind with no cameras, no phones, no press. The kind where only certain people get through the door. And during that night, he claims Beyoncé made a comment that didn't sit right with him. Something cold. Something that made the atmosphere feel off. Like the smile didn't match the energy in the room. A line that stuck with him long after the music stopped. The way he tells it, the vibe wasn't celebration. It was control. And that's the moment the story stops feeling like celebrity gossip and starts feeling like something much harder to explain.
Rockaware photo shoot in Colorado. And I think it was during the winter time of 06 or 07. And Naomi Campbell was there. Actress Jamie King was there. Jay was there. B was there. And he rented this house. And we were supposed to do this rap party for this photo shoot. We rented this house. And we were watching LeBron play. And after the game, it had to have been like 10 or 11 o'clock. So we getting ready to party. Mind you, it's all adults. There was a 13-year-old or a 14-year-old teenage Latin girl that was there. And I think she had to leave because she had school and she had to do homework. But she brought her mother with her. So it was no funny business going on, which I could respect that. So when 11 o'clock hit, we turned on the music, we started drinking. And then out of nowhere came these young children. I don't know where they came from. For a rap party at 11 o'clock at night, drinking loud music and us dancing wild. Like, I don't know where these kids came from. And then I happened to sit down because I was dancing with one of the assistants. And I sat next to this child and the child sat next to Beyoncé. So I hear B say something about, doesn't this look sexy? Or isn't this sexy? And in my mind, and mind you, I'm not awakened as I'm awakened now. So in my mind, I'm like, what did she just say? And then I didn't pay no attention to it. And then, you know, obviously the liquor took hold of me and I had to leave. So I said bye to everybody and left. But those kids remained. I don't know if those kids were from the photo shoot themselves. But the fact that these kids came around adults during drinking hours or partying hours.
But it doesn't stop there. And this is where the story starts to feel less like rumor and more like something people deliberately tried to bury. Because Beyoncé's name didn't just float around in online theories. It actually showed up in legal paperwork. Briefly. Then, almost like magic, the coverage vanished. Back in April 2025, a man named Joseph Manzaro filed a lawsuit connected to Sean Combs, better known as Diddy. The claims were graphic, chaotic, and deeply disturbing. According to the filing, he said he attended one of Diddy's private parties in 2015, was handed a drink that didn't taste right, and not long after, everything went blurry. His memory? Fragmented. His body? Failing him. He says he was transported to a property on Star Island in Miami for what was described as Christian Combs' birthday celebration. But this wasn't some champagne and cameras celebrity bash. If the lawsuit is to be believed, it was something else entirely. He claims he blacked out. And when he came to, he says he was subjected to humiliating and degrading treatment he never consented to. Before things spiraled, though, he alleges something strange. He says he saw Beyoncé inside the house. Just there. Not performing, not hosting, just present. According to court documents, he said he felt sick and disoriented, and that Gloria Estefan, who reportedly owned the property at the time, tried to help him, but was stopped by her husband, Emilio Estefan. Then the situation allegedly escalated. He claims he stumbled into a hallway and even crossed paths with LeBron James, who allegedly told others they needed to do something about that. And then comes the part that sounds less like Hollywood and more like a thriller movie. He says he was moved through an underground tunnel, taken to another mansion. Ditties. And when he regained partial awareness, he claims both Jay-Z and Beyoncé were in the room. Let's be clear, these are allegations inside a lawsuit, not proven facts. But the imagery alone is unsettling. According to him, Beyoncé questioned why he looked the way he did, confused about the scene in front of her. And someone allegedly responded that it was punishment. A warning. A message. The lawsuit goes on to describe masks, humiliation, and psychological terror. Details that are hard to even repeat. Now here's where it gets interesting. Jay-Z's legal team moved fast. His attorney, Alex Spiro, immediately denied everything tied to Jay, stating he wasn't even in Miami at the time. Clear, direct, defensive. But Beyoncé? Silence. No statement. No denial. No legal rebuttal. Reporters reached out. Nothing. Which naturally makes people ask, why defend one name instantly, but not the other? And here's another twist that raised eyebrows. Spiro's name has also surfaced in Epstein-related communications, with one email describing him in chilling terms as a stone-cold killer. Maybe that's just colorful language. Or maybe it's another thread in a very messy web. Either way, the pattern keeps repeating. And that brings us back to Larry Johnson. Because when you line up what happened to Larry with what happened to Kanye West, it almost feels like the same script being reused. Both were close to Jay-Z. Both had access. Both moved inside those elite rooms. And both started talking. Then suddenly, doors closed. Phones stopped ringing. Media narratives flipped overnight. Larry got labeled crazy. Kanye got labeled unstable. The moment they questioned the system, or hinted that Jay-Z and Beyoncé might not be what they seem, they weren't debated. They were discredited. Erased. Larry was accused of pushing dangerous theories, the same kinds of claims that now, ironically, overlap with things being revealed in court documents and files years later. But once you get stamped with certain labels in this industry, game over. And Kanye, well, people still argue about what happened to him. After the breakdowns, the rants, the sudden apologies, the handler drama with Harley Pasternak threatening hospitalization, fans swear he hasn't looked or sounded like the same person since he started calling out powerful names. Maybe it's stress. Maybe it's medication. Maybe something else entirely. But something shifted. And it shifted right after he started pointing fingers at the same elite circles Beyoncé and Jay-Z are constantly connected to. So now the question isn't just about guilt or innocence. It's bigger than that. It's about proximity, power, influence. Who protects who gets silenced, and who somehow always walks away untouched. Which brings us back to Beyoncé. Is she really just a sheltered bystander like fans insist? Or is she far more aware and far more involved than anyone wants to admit? Because at some point, coincidence stops looking like coincidence and starts looking like a pattern.